on it again, and it works sometimes, and sometimes it's very intermittent. But we're hoping that it's working tonight. So, yeah, I know. We got to do subtitles. I know. Everything's going fast. We do have 3 add-ons though, so it was short, but we have a couple of things. Thank you.
I know sometimes I feel like I'm like way down here, like on the kids' table. Yeah, I think you stand up and you lift that lever. Me too. Like that's usually what I do the first time. No, it's the one on this side, I think. Yeah, that one. You gotta stand. You gotta stand up. Yep, there you go. There you go. First try. Look at that. Now you're at the big kids' table. Good. Yeah, it sounds like you guys got some good responses. Even when you have some conflict, if you have a good conversation with somebody, it's still a win. You know.
Got 6:59 here, but only 6:56 there. I know. I think it's losing time by the week. Yeah. I think it needs new batteries. I have no supervisor. You guys ready down there? Ready down there. Good evening. Welcome to the September 20th meeting of the Glenville Town Board. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Tonight's invocation, I just ask you to take a moment of silence to offer your own intentions. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Councilman Martin?
Here.
Please note for the record, Councilman Gravatar is absent. Councilman Kirkham?
Here.
Councilwoman Barone?
Here.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Here, the agendas are up front. Thank you all for being here tonight. There are 14 items on the agenda, and there are 3 add-ons. The first add-on is a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a memorandum of agreement between the Scotia Glenville School District and the town of Glenville to participate in the pre-vocational experience program. The second is a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute the proposed agreement for the awarded grant from the Northern Border Regional Council. And the third is a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute the agreement with the law office of Robert King regarding potential claims related to PFAS. Those are the 3 add-ons. We'll take those up after item 13 and before 14. And so we'll move 14 to after the add-ons. So with that, I'll start with town council reports. I'll start on my left with Councilman Kirkham.
No report, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay. Councilwoman Barone.
Nothing to report.
Councilman Martin.
I'm going to make it a perfect 3.
And I have no supervisor's report tonight, so we're going to cruise through this pretty well. So moving on, we have the first item on the agenda, which is a public hearing to hear all those interested in proposed local law to impose an interim or temporary suspension on the review, approval, and or issuance of all permits for or relating to hotels or motels to the code of the town of Glenville. I'll open that public hearing now. It's now open. Anyone wish to be heard on that matter regarding the temporary moratorium on new hotel or motel applications or approvals within the town of Glenville? Going once, going twice, seeing none. It's now closed. Move on to privilege of the floor. Privilege of the floor is for any business before the town. So if you're interested in addressing the town board, we just ask you to come to the podium, state your name and address your town issue. Privilege of the floor is now open. Anyone wish to be heard on that matter? Privilege of the floor. Sir. Town business, town related, yes.
So I prepared a little letter to read to you guys. My home's on 1345 Washout Road. My name's Anthony Stone. So I'm here tonight to discuss an urgent matter, declare a necessity to revise our current building codes. It's apparent that these codes are more often than not create unnecessary barriers for many Glenville residents. Just today, I received a letter detailing 4 separate instances of individuals grappling with the restrictions these codes impose. To me, it's clear indication that an overhaul is overdue. I wish to shed light on my personal situation with a 2,400 square foot limitation imposed on accessory buildings within the residential agricultural zone, a regulation that seems rather arbitrary and restrictive, especially given the typical land and property use of areas like ours. At present, I find myself once again waiting for relief from 3 separate codes preventing me from obtaining a building permit. This process has already pushed my project uncomfortably close to a winter. A 3-month setback to be precise, the anticipated unavailability of my mason in October threatens to compound this delay, escalating both the strain and the costs. It's somewhat absurd that I find myself almost begging for permission to initiate a straightforward project on my own land. I even made concessions in my latest building permit application and altered my current plans to be more in line with the current code, which in my opinion has absolutely destroyed the beautiful building I had initially set out to build. This new revision ended up being a simple square building devoid of any character and will no longer actually meet my needs, yet it still doesn't conform with the existing code. My latest application for a permit still exceeds the code by 672 square feet, and as I've already mentioned, has turned my vision of a beautiful barn with a workshop into nothing more than a pathetic oversized shed for a garden tractor. I'm quite saddened by this. My wife appreciates the lower cost. It's quite clear to me that the existing system fails to accommodate minor adaptations or allowances within the current building code. I propose a more streamlined approval route for minor infringements of the code, which would alleviate unnecessary delays and financial burdens. Perhaps we could even consider expanding certain provisions within the code to decrease the number of residents seeking relief through variance process. It seems the variance approvals are almost at the discretion of a handful of members who can approve or deny your projects entirely. I feel there needs to be some flexibility for minor issues that may conflict with the code or the codes themselves to have some flexibility written into them to even prevent the need for a variance. So I did talk to the town supervisor when I was submitting the paperwork for the second variance that I applied for, and I got a phone call right away. I tried emailing Nicholas back and forth, and I haven't heard anything back yet. I'll try to make some time to call him, because I'd like to talk about some of this stuff with him. And he's, a planner in the town?
Yeah.
So,
No, Nicholas. Upstate. He's in the planning office.
So I strongly urge the board to undertake a thorough review of the building codes, potentially starting with an analysis of the most frequent variance applications being submitted. It's somewhat astonishing to me that at least 8 separate applications for one or more variances within the past 2 months even need to be filled out and submitted. Most of them are pretty simple things people are looking to do, in my opinion. I request the board realign the current building codes more closely with the genuine needs and circumstances of Glenville residents, especially in the rural agriculture zone. So, thank you.
Thank you. And just for the record, your name, sir?
Anthony Stone.
Anthony Stone. Thank you very much, sir. Anyone else wish to be heard at comments? Privilege of the floor. Anyone else wish to be heard on that matter? Going once, going twice, seeing none, that is now closed. I do not have supervisors' comments tonight, so we will move through that one and we'll go right into the resolutions. And the first resolution is adopting local law 5 of 2023, adding the proposed local law to impose an interim or temporary suspension on the review, approval, and or issuance of all permits for or relating to hotels or motels to the code of the town of Glenville. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Just to start the conversation, as you all know, we've worked to help protect the community against influx of all sorts of sudden and unplanned population increases within the town. Not going through site plan, not having these projects really approved in the manner that they were intended to be approved, and with the discussion of perhaps more hotels being proposed within the town, it just seemed like the comprehensive plan didn't contemplate this previously. And so we want to just put a pause so that we can study the impacts of this going forward, and this would help us do that. So this would be a temporary moratorium on any new hotels, motels within the town of Glenville to allow us to study the impact on any new such structures going forward. Any discussion?
I just want to say I'm supportive of this, and I realize it's not the most effective way to deal with this, but unfortunately, those who do have the effective means are simply choosing to ignore it, and or even ignoring the request from our own chief elected official to address it. And I'm talking about our Congress people and our people at the state level, which is very unfortunate that this is what it comes to, and I cannot express more disappointment than what I'm feeling for our representation at the state and federal level on this issue. It just seems like we've been abandoned, and they have no answers, and that's very unfortunate. And I'm happy to support what we can do as a municipality and a local government to help defend our residents against such an influx.
But it can be extended. The attorney just wanted me to point out that this is a 1-year moratorium. It can be extended another
Right.
year after that. 108 days. At least 2 years, something like 2 years. Yeah. Any other questions, comments, or discussion?
I just wanted to echo Jim's thoughts. I agree 100%. And it's not just about a community, what can we do to better equip our community for this, but it's also protecting these people who are just being treated like cattle. And Supervisor, I think you said it very well when there was the question about whether or not they were going to go on the National Guard base is what is their life going to be? Are they going to be in prison behind walls that they can't interact with the community or go to jobs or get to school? This is just very poor planning, and I feel that we are taking the steps we need to do as a local government to make sure that our state and federal officials actually address this issue in a meaningful manner.
All agreed, and I think it's important to note that the strategy of using hotels as essentially multifamily, long-term lodging, housing, isn't what they're meant to be, isn't what is in the code, isn't what the comprehensive plan contemplated, and to turn these basically into apartments from hotels is just wrong. It's on so many levels, and I think this will help us protect the community from that happening. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Kirkland?
Yes.
Councilwoman Braun?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 9, authorizing the town supervisor to execute the Metroplex grant agreement in order to assist the completion of the Scotia Glenville Mohawk Hudson Bike Hike Trail. Any motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Just to start the conversation, you all know we've been working very hard on this bike trail that is going to connect Glenville to Scotia and Schenectady in a 4-mile recreational loop around the Mohawk River from Freeman's Bridge Road to the Western Gateway Bridge, creating more connectivity even into the New York State Empire Trail Network and a new amenity for residents and visitors across the county. The state provided a grant of $445,000. These are in rough terms. Our match is $148,000, and unfortunately, after the 1.3 mile portion of this along the Mohawk River on the Glenville side was engineered, National Grid got involved, and they demanded that we did this trail to accommodate their trucks, which makes it more of a road than a trail, which increased the price, as you can imagine, to $854,000. This was to allow them to access the transmission lines. Since we're on their property, they kind of had us in a corner, and we kind of had to agree because we wouldn't get the easement if we didn't. Some might call that extortion, but others don't. But anyway, that aside, we called Metroplex Development Authority, explained the problem, and Metroplex awarded us $225,000 in order to complete the project. So we want to thank Metroplex and Ray Gillen and all the leadership that they're providing over there to get this stuff done. And B, we want to get this done. So we're not going to fight with National Grid anymore. We're just going to get it done, and that's where we are. So that's what this resolution would do. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, I'd just like to say I'm extremely pleased to see that our continued investment in quality of life issues for our residents and for people who visit our community, enhancements in our parks and recreational opportunities. So I think this is a worthy investment.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'd like to echo those comments. This has always been a very vital link. And again, it's that linkage between the town and the village, another way that, we are coming together. That's good. And this is waterfront. And that's especially a very nice attribute to this trail. This will be enjoyed by our residents and people from across the region and outside the region. It's nice to see this come to fruition. And no thanks to National Grid, but many thanks to Metroplex for being there to fill that gap.
And I want to say something about Metroplex. A lot of people say they're Schenectady based, and they do a lot of the Schenectady, there's no doubt about it. But we should really sit down and put a list together of all the things they've done.
It'd be extensive.
But just recently alone, just within the last month, we were able to secure from them not just this money for the walking path, but money to do the flight line, the Skyway Plaza, what do you call it?
The
Facade, yeah, to redo the facade. I had the right word. And without that, it would not have gotten done. They put money into the Mohawk Tap Room to redo the Mohawk Tap Room. They're really investing a lot in Scotia Glenville, and I think it's quiet sometimes, but they really are. And not to mention what they've all done in the industrial park, which is good.
Yeah, the business park is, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I just wanted to call out and thank them for that
Do we have a time frame generally for this to go under construction and start? And
last year. No, we're talking. We were hoping it's going to be a spring of '24 project now. Is when they'll get in the ground. They'll probably engineer it completely over the winter. Is that one of the ones that's getting? Looking at you, Craig, or maybe some. Oh, they'll actually do the clearing and grading now. Okay, that's good.
so this will be completed like mid 24. Wow, nice. Great. No, I understand. Great.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Perkins?
Yes.
Councilman Bowman?
Yes.
Supervisor Heskey?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution 10, appointing Beth Kissinger to the Board of Assessment Review. Do I have a motion?
I will move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and second. Beth is with us here tonight and has served on the bar for how many years? Third year. Excellent. And she actually wants to come back. So that's great. Beth's doing a great job. She's worked on so many different projects in the town and committees and Oktoberfest and through Rotary, all the stuff in the park. So we want to thank you for all your dedication to the town and willing to serve in this capacity as well. Any discussion on Beth's appointment?
Just thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank you
continued
so much.
service.
Thank you.
All right. Other than that, I guess there's no other discussion. Seeing none, please.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Perkins?
Yes.
Councilman Bowman?
Yes.
Supervisor Heskey?
Yes. Resolution passes. Congratulations. Someday I'll be before you, Beth. Just so you know. Resolution 11, approving the minutes for regular town board meeting held on September 6, 2023. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? There seems to be no discussion. It's just the meeting, as I said, the minutes for September 6, 2023. Seeing none, please vote the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Perkins?
Yes.
Yes.
Supervisor Heskey?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 12, approving the monthly reports for August 2023. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? These are monthly reports that were submitted by the Assessor's Department, the Justice Department, Receiver of Taxes, the Town Clerk's Office, and the Police Department. Other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Perkins?
Yes.
Councilman Bowman?
Yes.
Supervisor Heskey?
Yes, resolution passes. I think what we'll do is we'll move 13 to after the add-ons as well, so we could just keep going on the resos, and then we'll have the discussion regarding the new town hall and new business. If you don't mind, we'll go to add-on 1, which is a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign an MOA between Scotia Glenville School District, Town of Glenville, regarding the participation in the pre-vocational experience program. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? As you see in the resolution, this is a program that we've been participating in. How many years, Vicki? COVID, yeah. But generally a very successful program, and this allows folks from our high school students to come into the senior center and kind of in an internship basis and have some educational opportunity in the form of that unpaid internship experience. This has been very successful, and so we like to continue our relationship and allow these students to come in and work in a manner to get some education and some experience, but also I think the seniors enjoy the students coming in as well, so it's beneficial to both sides. So this would just keep that program going. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Perkins?
Yes.
Councilman Bowman?
Yes.
Supervisor Heskey?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 2, add-on, authorizing the supervisor to execute the agreement for the Northern Border Regional Council grant. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is to execute a grant in the amount of $273,788 from the Northern Border Regional Council to assist with expenses for water main infrastructure improvements.
And just to point out that the improvements are for the business, Glenville Business Technology Park, that will greatly aid the further development of that economic development. This is a approval of a $5,475 expenditure that will allow the Capital Region Planning Commission to provide services to us to help us make sure that we're really executing the grant correctly. And that, I believe, is reimbursed back. Is that correct, Tony? Yes. So that's the resolution.
Well, it's pretty nice to access such an obscure grant program. You don't see a lot from the Northern Border Regional Council. That's pretty good.
So
Somebody's doing their homework.
Here we have to thank Congressman Tonko. I got to give credit when credit's due for securing the grant for the town that came through the congressman's office. Tony will tell you, and I think Craig will tell you as well. We have a lot of grants we're administering. The town of Glenville has done very well with grants over the years, but with grants come a lot of work. And everyone is Jason and Vicki, and everyone's working hard on all the grants, making sure all the projects are getting done. So this is just another one, and it'll be a positive for the business and technology park. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Kirkland?
Yes.
Councilman Barone?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 3, authorizing the supervisor to execute agreement with the law office of Robert King regarding potential claims related to PFAS. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. This is a resolution that will allow us to get on retainer with this law firm, working with our counsel here. We've interviewed the law firm. I went through initial interview, then interviewed with Jeff's firm. And as you all know, there are issues today with PFASs in water supply. It's not uncommon. We have known for years that our town water has tested for PFASs, PFOs, but we've always been at the level below what I think it's DEC has suggested to be a problem. So there's really nothing the town could do or not do. But in the interim, we found that there are other communities coming together to commence a litigation on behalf of the town. And we are joining in that with those other folks. And we would have a retainer agreement with this firm, which is a contingency fee that if basically is 25% of whatever is awarded if the trial is not scheduled, and 1/3 if the trial is scheduled, within additional fees for expense within a year of the trial. So this retainer would allow us to be part of this action to try to retain money for the town on behalf of the town regarding PFASs, and allow us to make some investments in our water plant if we did actually receive some funding. Any questions or comments on that? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Kirkland?
Yes.
Councilman Barone?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. We're on item 13, which is a discussion on the new town hall proposal. As you all know, we had this discussion last week at a work session, although we're not going to formalize anything with the resolution here tonight as far as official action. I wanted to have one last conversation because what I got from last week clearly was that everybody wanted to pretty much stay on Glen Ridge. But I didn't feel there was a consensus as to what that meant on Glen Ridge. So what I wanted to propose was going forward with a quick and short study on 3 real options. We think about 3 options. One being staying in this building and retrofitting. 2, building a new building on the other property over there and trying to market this building. 3, keep police and public safety here and do the town hall on the second property over there. So there's 3 distinct proposals that we would look at and do a feasibility study and plan and cost analysis to see what would make the most sense. But I think if we're going to stay here, we have to look at all those options. I know we have preconceived ideas, each of us, about does it make sense to stay here? Is this more expensive than that? Let's go through the process and figure out what really makes sense and which of our needs are being met. Because there's going to be a cost benefit at some point where we say, well, okay, maybe only 70% of our needs are being met, but it's 50% cheaper. And maybe that makes sense, if we stay here, for example, if we retrofit here. But maybe someone says, I want 100%, and the savings isn't worth staying here. And I want everything new. So what I'd like to do is get that done fairly quickly within the next 30 to 60 days. We have a survey going on right now of our property, so that's going to greatly speed up things. And so that's taking place as we speak. But those are the proposals. I don't know how you guys feel, and we'll open it up to discussion, but now's the time to.
I agree with all that, but I would add on to that to say, I think what has to happen now in this next iteration is we need the next level of detail also in terms of that cost estimate. Because I think what's going to be important is, number one, to have a next level of detail. In other words, like if it's a new build here off to the side, what's the cost for grading? What's the cost for stormwater? I want to get real here. So I'm kind of done with this conceptual level 30,000 foot. Well, we think we can bring in at $18 a foot, or whatever the case is, or $300 a foot, whatever. I'd really like to have an apples on apples in terms of detail cost comparison to make between those 3 options. So that's the only thing I would caution against, because now we got to start getting a little serious here. And I would even go so far as to say, that level of detail combined in association with equally detailed cost estimate. So we can start making some real comparisons here, because that's what we're going to need to know to go to the next level.
I couldn't agree more. I think, and I said this last meeting, is that there were some really obvious things that were flaws with some of the designs that would have to be addressed. And without knowing how costly those will become, it's very difficult to compare which option would be best. So I think Jim hit the nail on the head there.
I agree. I think bringing this to a conceptual level and then actually developing, the whole scope of work and coming off with a cost analysis for each separate project is the absolute direct approach to take, so that we can make that comparison apple to apple, or, decide which one will best be suited.
Having been around designers and engineers for the last 20 years, this terminology and this means a lot. So, you talk about, sketch plan, concept level, preliminary, all these words have meaning in their vernacular. And I just want to make sure we're all on the same level with each one of the 3 cost estimates, that it's fairly detailed, or detailed planning and cost estimating to know, what's the full ramification of a new build, what's the full ramification of a retrofit, or what's the full ramification of a split. Police here and town general services in a new build.
So everyone's comfortable with focusing on Glen Ridge and going forward with that study.
Mm-hmm.
And the only other thing I would add, just for me personally, I don't know if I view this, if it was a new build, which I suspect it's going to be, with a joined police department and town functions all in one new building, I wouldn't give up on this site as the town retaining ownership and doing something interesting here on this site that's going to aid our local businesses, but yet provide, very interesting, meaningful, creative community services and community events to occur from this location. I just think there's a host of creative ideas that could be achieved, but keep it under town ownership. That's just my gut sense.
I agree, and I would strongly not agree with taking this property if we are to reimagine it in some way, shape, or form and make it more housing. I think there's so
Right.
many other uses that we could do. I know one of the proposals did suggest that, and I think that's a wasted opportunity.
No, there's a host of things that, I mean, I could even see going out to, make it fun and interesting and involve the community and make it a resident charrette, put the idea about out there, see where the interest lies.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to give up on this site so easily and just sell it off for development. And when there's a lot of things that could be done here that would aid our business center here, our town center, but at the same time, just provide a host of ideas for the community to take advantage of.
I'm impressed with your vocabulary, Jim.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good.
French
SAT
for
word.
meeting.
Oh. Thought he was trying to
That's
say
what
sherbet.
planners do, Planners, we have charrettes. So I thought I'd throw that in.
Anything else on that? Anything about the other ones that you wanted to pursue or? pretty
I
much?
think this is the hub. I think town hall should stay here.
Yeah, this absolutely is, the focal point for town center here. I think people are used to coming here. It's convenient. I think the investment is proper at this site.
Well, and I think the exercise that we went through was worthwhile in that, we wanted to provide the opportunity. Is there something out there that's viable, potentially even better? And we got the answer. There's not, but we wouldn't know that if we didn't try. And we tried, and I think that was a good step to take.
Definitely.
I don't know what's going to become of Cypress though. There's really not a lot.
Yeah,
of opportunity there.
that's a toughie.
We'll have to keep working on that with the owner. Anything else on the new town hall proposal? So there will not be an official resolution rejecting anything, Jeff. I think we're just gonna focus on engaging somebody to look at these plans here, but we don't have to reject them.
Rejecting it, and they were just presentations with proposals.
I mean, I think we would have the opportunity to say to LaChase that, given they were the proposer here for this, that they have like a preferred status, and we could get the cost estimate out of them and the next level of planning detail out of them at no cost, so to speak. Maybe that's the appropriate thing to do.
We can talk to them about it or rebid it out too.
Well, I think, we have the proposals already, and like I said, we could just designate them, quote unquote, as a preferred status for now. That commits us to nothing. It's just, we want you to advance to the next level.
Anything else? I'll start with the new business on my left with Councilman Kirkham,
No new business.
Councilwoman Barone,
No new business.
Councilman Martin.
I'm going to do my greatest impression of Mike Godlewski and talk about Oktoberfest is coming up an obituary. No, but to just say I'm looking forward to Oktoberfest at the end of the month. I hope all the residents enjoy it. It's our feature event, and I will certainly be there getting my German meal.
Excellent. Looking forward to it. The only thing I just want to mention and thank all the staff for all their hard work on, I mentioned earlier, all the grants and projects. I think we moved more projects in 2023 than we have. And I know it was COVID and everything, but in the last 3 years previously, I did want to just update you guys on the Outlaw sidewalk. We should have a pre-construction meeting on that very shortly, and they should be in the ground and completed by November. So that sidewalk will be complete, and we're very excited about that. So we don't have a date on the pre-construction meeting yet. No, okay.
And I think Lynn and Tony and Nick have done a great job on the micro enterprise program too. Kind of got to a slow point there, but it seemed to have taken off again.
We got our extension, so that's good.
Well, it's needed.
Excellent. So no other business. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move that.
Second,
I'll second.
moved in second, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?